All right, good morning. Just like I said, I was going to start coming in here and doing these every morning. And so this is the next episode, the second episode of the Pages Update, it goes hand in hand with my Pages of Fandom podcast. So either fandomnight.com or you could check that out on YouTube. And for that matter, if you're already watching these on YouTube, every morning I come in here and I do one of these live on the Facebook group page, also Pages of Fandom, and all that is out of the way. So, it is February 14th, 2017, and I'm going to start dating these so that if you're listening to the podcast and everything like that, and I review some of these books, you'll know how right on time or behind these releases I happen to be. So, let's go into this. First off is Wonder Woman. So, we have Wonder Woman 16 now. This time, the Wonder Woman book, and this has been happening. I've talked about this back when I was just doing the written reviews. I like these, but these are tough. If you're just getting into comics, these can be tough books. And the reason is that while the book is done very well, this is the part 1 of Godwatch, which essentially this is reintroducing Dr. Cyber. That's basically what's going on. These two gods come and they kidnap this lady's daughter, or rather, yeah, they basically kidnap her soul, and then they threaten this doctor by telling her, hey, you need to go figure out, you need to capture Wonder Woman or whatever you got to do and find us the gateway, find us the path to Themyscira, because we can't get in. And she knows the way, which is not actually true, because one of the things Wonder Woman gave up by coming to here, to America or whatever, to man's world, was she had to give up the right to ever go back. So she can't go back. She doesn't know the way back. And we are introduced to a couple of things in this book, reintroduced once again to Dr. Minerva, showing us that is her good friend and everything like that. So there's that. That's all out of the way. Basically, that's what this book does. It reintroduces Dr. Psycho, and that is kind of cool. Dr. Psycho was a fairly prominent villain in, I believe, the Golden Age, and I think she also was around somewhere in the, I believe she was around in the Silver Age, but to be quite honest, Wonder Woman comics they're rough. Okay, Wonder Woman comics are rough because she's not handled very well. She is now. These are probably some of the best Wonder Woman comics that have ever been put out. And that's not a joke. Like, she was pretty good in the Silver Age, pretty good in the Golden Age. The Silver Age, she just went to shit. And it seems like every other person that handles the property either screws it up royally or hits a home run. Like, there doesn't seem to be very much middle ground. Like, for me, the DC 52, I did not care for that Wonder Woman. It pretty much completely turned me off from the character for a while, and then Rebirth started back up, and it seems like she's kind of gone back to where she needs to be, and I'm liking it again. But I will warn you, if you have any interest in the Wonder Woman books at all, issue 16 was Godwatch Part 1. Issue 17 will not be. Issue 18 will be Godwatch Part 2. And this has been an ongoing problem with the Wonder Woman series, is that there are two stories that are running. One that's taking place in the present day, and one that's taking place in the past. So we have year 1, and then we have another story that's taking place. And each book that comes out is like part 1 of year 1, part 1 of the other story, part 2 of year 1, part 2 of the other story. And they keep going like this. Now, originally, I was really turned off by the way these books were handled. But I have to tell you, stick it out if you decide to go to Wonder Woman. The reason I'm telling you this is because, believe it or not, these do tie together. Once the two storylines finish, the one from the present day and the one from the past, if you put them together and you really look at what it was showing you, you'll see a bigger picture of what was going on, of what it was trying to show you. And you need the stuff that's going on in the past to understand what's going on in the present. So this is actually important. It's just that it's a lot of stitching together, and it's tough. It can be very tough. So if you're just getting into Wonder Woman, if this is your first jump into comics and Wonder Woman is interesting you, these can be a tough read. But if you're willing to pay attention to all the clues they're giving you, there is a reason the stories are two separate stories that are coming out every other week and kind of overlapping each other, because they are tying together. Just putting that out there. Our next book today is actually Superman issue 16. And this deals with the multiverse thing, the multiplicity that's going on. And while I like this book, I feel like this should have been at least a 3-part event. Like, okay, when they did this with the whole Spider-Verse thing, they had a ton of books to show you all these different Spider-Men and shit. When they did it here, you got 2 parts. That's it. Stuff went down. Here comes Superman. He tries to help. And then the end of the book introduces bad guy. And then this book he fights bad guy. And bad guy is defeated. He's done. The event is already done. I mean, it is tying into something bigger, because we once again see Oz. And I'm not calling him Osmodeus yet, because there's no proof that that's who it is yet, so I'm just going to call him Oz. But this dude, obviously, whatever was going on, whatever this dude was that showed up that was taking Superman, he sees the end of the universe coming. And this is another one of those things where you got to question, yeah, he's a bad guy because of what he's doing. But what he was doing had a purpose. If he could collect all the powers from all the Supermen, and then, I'm not going to call him a good guy, because then he was like willing to bury all the Supermen that he took the powers from, but he wanted to collect all these powers so he would be ultra powerful, and then he was going to use that power to fight whatever's coming that supposedly is going to end the universe. So this guy sees something coming. Which then goes into the question, is this really about the Watchmen? I mean, yeah, there's going to be a Watchmen book, but may I remind you that, from what I understand, Rebirth is a 2-year story arc. And from what I understand, we're going to be jumping into the Watchmen thing pretty soon. That's coming up in the next, couple months. And that seems awfully early to introduce what's supposed to be the big thing happening in Rebirth. I think we're moving towards something else, but that is what it is. Final verdict, I guess I would say, is that this Superman book is not bad. It was enjoyable to see all of the Superman. I think that fight finished way too fast, and they beat this dude way too easy. And I'm also not 100% sure why his idea worked, that he got all the Superman powers back. But I will say that I've been hearing this theory about Superman, that possibly the blue boot Superman that we have right here is actually electric blue Superman. And this interests me because it would make a lot of sense. If the DC 52 Superman, who I was like, well, who is that guy? He died, and then his power shot out, and a couple people got power. And so far, Lois Lane, she got power, and it killed her. And when she died, there was a lot of red energy that came off of her. Then, her friend Lana is dying, and she's producing red energy. And very soon, we are due for a story arc that is already going to change the Superman costume, and I saw the picture, and he's back in the red boots. And whatever this master list was, that this creature was looking for Superman on something called the master list, this Superman is not on it. He's claimed to be an anomaly. And if, just major ridiculous theory here, if he's only half of a Superman, that would make a lot of sense. And basically, I'm curious if this Superman that we've been running around with is actually powered by the blue electric energy, and that the DC 52 Superman was powered by the red electric energy, maybe the reason that Superman died is because he could no longer hold that energy. And it sprang out. They say that it was the kryptonite poisoning, but the way he died is not consistent with the way kryptonite affects Superman. So I'm still wondering about this. And then this blue Superman, he hasn't shown signs of like sickness or anything like that, but even Swamp Thing showed up in the annual and said, something's wrong with you, you shouldn't be here, you're producing a lot more energy than the other Superman did, and it's starting to kill the green. The green is essentially the mystical energy of the earth that holds, it's a life stream, I guess, if you want to call it that. Now, it's possible that when Swamp Thing helped Blue Superman, our Superman that we've been in the comic books with, he said he helped to align his energies and that he shouldn't be harming the planet anymore. Well, maybe, just maybe, this is the only reason he's not showing signs of dying. And if we wait long enough, I'm real curious if saving Superwoman might come down to taking that power from her, and then maybe something will happen where she still gets to be Superwoman or something. But I'm curious if her power and our Superman's power needs to come together, which is the reason his outfit will change, and maybe this will give us an understanding as to what's going on, because there's multiple Supermen out there. And it's just, it's a random theory. I'm not going to dwell on it any further. Sorry I took up so much time, but it's just interesting to think that maybe the costume change actually does have a purpose that's coming up. Next, we're going to go to Titans number 8. And for anybody that's interested, just to let you know, if you've been reading the Titans or the Teen Titans, keep your eyes open. You might want to check with your comic book stores or whoever is your supplier, whether you do it online or whatever. In May, there's going to be a crossover between the Teen Titans and the Titans. This is not a versus comic. It's not Teen Titans versus the Titans. Who knows, maybe they'll end up fighting and they'll solve it in half an issue or something. But from what I understand, this is not a versus comic. This is something else. This is something that's being referred to as the Lazarus Contract, which I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the Judas Contract, which was a very, very popular book back in the original Teen Titans. If you haven't read it, you can go check that out or look it up, whatever you got to do, Wikipedia, I'm sure. Get your information. I'm not going to go into it here. But the Judas Contract was probably the most referenced and biggest event that the Titans really had. It seems to be what everybody always brings up when you talk Teen Titans. And now this crossover book is going to do something called the Lazarus Contract. And I've seen some of the artwork. It looks like Deathstroke is going to be in it, which is kind of interesting because just go look it up. Anyways, this book does reintroduce another villain team. Some of you people might recognize them from, say, the 90s cartoon of the Teen Titans. Remember the other group that had Mammoth, the big giant huge dude with the long hair, and then they had the little bitty dude, Gadget or whatever. He was little and he had all the contraptions, almost like a tiny Dr. Octopus. And then there was the girl with the pink hair. That team is being referenced as the Terrible Five. And they show up in this book. Now, this book basically deals with, there is this company out there who, if you have superpowers, they will come in and they will help you with those superpowers. They'll either help you learn how to use them, or they will remove them completely. And I noticed that Simon is in this book, so I can't help but question the legitimacy of their company, and also that the scientists that seem to be working there were those Terrible Five. Just saying, not sure if I would completely trust the idea, but it was good. It was good. I'm looking forward to more, and so far the Titans has not let me down. Unlike the Teen Titans, which I, in my very first test episode of this, where all I did was come in and talk for like 5 minutes. Remember, I threw that book to the side. I am not subscribed to it anymore. It is what it is. They seemed too exaggerated, too cartoony to me. and I thought they were taking a different path with it, and I like how the Titans are a little more grown up. As for your question, Scott, the question is, where the hell was Christopher Reeve's Superman? I didn't see him in there, just like you didn't. I did scan the backgrounds quite a bit though, and I noticed on the last page where everybody's kind of flying up, like woo, we're flying up. When that one happened, look real close. One of those Supermans was the Man of Steel from the movies that's taking place right now. It was his costume. I could tell by the way the S was and the way the little silver marks came down and wrapped around him. It was that Superman. So the Superman from the movies made a background cameo, but I did not see Christopher Reeves. And to be fair, if he was in the background, he was probably drawn ever so slightly to a point where I probably looked right by him. It is what it is. This is Detective Comics 949. Now, Detective Comics 949, if you've been... This is where the Batwoman saga thing is starting. This was a two-part story where the Colonel Prime, or whatever, he came and attacked the Belfry, and then he thought he had the upper hand, and of course, because... You know what? For the first time ever, it's not because he's Batman, it's because they're Bat people. And because they're Bat people, they were able to trick this guy into the mudroom and run him around like an idiot and capture this guy for the most part. But he had that monster serum crap that was introduced during the Hugo Strange storyline, the Monster Men or whatever. And so he shoots that crap in his neck and he becomes a monster and he jumps out the window and he escapes. And then we go into another argument between Batwoman and Batman. Because unlike all these other people the Batman is teamed up with, she is not going to play that game where she's the underling. She's his partner, she controls the team, and if he don't like it, he can eat it. I really like Batwoman, and it's that attitude and that determination and the coolness of this character is why I've already got Batwoman on my pull list, so I'll be reviewing them here. This was good. It's basically a setup book, so it's not that good. I mean, it works for what it is. It set up a villain for her, and it gave her a mission. She is going to go track down where the monster serum crap is and who these people are that are buying it. Because evidently, underground organizations, mafia and, things like that, these underground organizations, and possibly I wouldn't be surprised if the Penguin is involved somewhere in here because he deals with a lot of this crap, weapons and whatnot. It's being bought up like weapons, and there's some sort of war on the horizon that's coming in. And it's going to be, I don't know, it'll probably be a thing for Detective Comics. I'll keep my eyes open to see if maybe there's an event coming up or something, but the Batwoman comic book is going to deal with her investigating this situation. So that's going to be her thing, and they've already set up a villain and a mission for her to go do, and that's really what this book was. Pretty good, not overly good. That was all my issues for today. I went through Detective Comics, which is 949, Titans 8, Superman 16, and Wonder Woman 16. Really nothing else to say here, guys, so see you tomorrow.